Okay. Okay. So welcome back from the break. So now we will hear from Bruno Lopez about Matisse, the VLTI mid-infrared imaging spectroimager.
Yes, thank you. So have all a good midday. And I'd like to first to thank all the organizer and the participant as well, because I learned a lot at this conference, and as part of the building team of Matisse, I learned a lot, and it's very useful to us to have such feedback from the first result on this instrument. So thanks to Matisse, it's possible to do spectroimaging exploration of the universe with 4 telescopes and with the collecting power of a very large telescope. And Matisse extends, as you know, is a mid-infrared instrument which has a broad spectral band, and it contributes to extend the wavelength domain of the VLTI from Pioneer, H-band, Gravity, K-band, and now Matisse, LMN, and N-band. And we all need for our science such a wide spectral coverage in optical interferometry. Matisse has been integrated at Paranal in end of 2017. First light and start of commissioning was the beginning of 2018. And it is in April 2019 that we all could start observing our favorite science object. Recently, in March, we have had our Matisse overview article published in Astronomy and Astrophysics. So Matisse was built for ISO, for the international community, and the consortium has major partners like Observatoire de la Côte d'Azur, INSUS NRS, Max Planck Institute for Astronomy of Heidelberg, the NOVA Institute and the University of Leiden, and the Max Planck Institute for Radio-Astronomy of Bonn, plus other collaborations. Oops, excuse me. Yes, and in my talk today, in the short presentation I made, I would like to mention this necessary dialogue between a 3D between a 3 axis of a 3D problem, which is the fact that mid-infrared interferometry is a young technique, and we did learn a lot from the last 30 years. Between the first result and thanks to this, it's possible to think of optimization and upgrade that I will mention in this presentation. So mid-infrared interferometry exists in the 70s. In fact, the first mid-infrared interferometer was using the MACMAT solar telescope of Kitt Peak Observatory, and it was using heterodyne stellar interferometry on a planet, by the way, as a test case source. It was the planet Mercury, efficiently heated by the sun itself, which was used as a test source to operate this 5.5 meter mid-infrared baseline interferometer. Several results were obtained with this first mid-infrared prototype. One first result was obtained on the Mira star Omicron Ceti, and this technique of heterodyne was extended, was routinely used in the 80 by the infrared spatial interferometer of Berkeley University. The ISA interferometer is still operating today and is constituted by a 3 fun telescope. So this interferometer did allow to do already closure phase measurement, and it was used to observe mostly the circumstellar dust around evolved star. And because such objects are very extended, the interferometer, which allows to reach 70 meter baseline, was mostly used at very short baseline length. And in this picture, you can see the shortest baseline, which is more or less the size of a trailer for 4 meters. separation. This project was initiated by Professor Toms, and Bill Danchi, who is on the bottom right on this picture. This is his backside, was the PI of the project. At the same time, in Europe, in France, there was an interferometer called Soir d'été. Soir d'été had a 2 1-meter telescopes separated by a 15-meter baseline. Soir d'été was led by Jean Gay and Yves Rabia, Jamel Mekarnia, and Soir d'été was meaning synthèse d'ouverture en infrarouge par détection hétérodyne. But the advance in the discipline came from the demonstration, in fact, of a direct detection approach in the mid-infrared domain. And this direct detection approach was used by the well-known MIDI 2-telescope instrument, designed for the VLTI and led by Christophe Leinert and Uwe Grasser. Here is MIDI in the VLTI Focal Laboratory. MIDI was a very useful instrument because it's more than 160 referee articles which are using the MIDI result nowadays. And Matisse has taken the location of MIDI in the very crowded VLTI Focal Laboratory. You have on top a picture from near the wall with a fisheye of the 2 Matisse cryostats, LNM and N-band. And you can see on the bottom photography the VLTI laboratory with a warm optic table of the Matisse instrument. So now when you press on Matisse button to observe, when you define your obese parameters, in fact you use several functionality which comes from this history. The state-of-art knowledge in mid-infrared interferometry involve spectral dispersion. Spectral dispersion was in fact used since the beginning, nearly the beginning of interferometry. Antoine Labeyrie in the 70s used spectral dispersion to detect and observe the fringes and increase the coherence length of the fringes. We use that to Matisse, but we know also we need the spectral, the wavelength direction to analyze the spectroscopy of our favorite object. We use also a photometric beam splitter, which allows to observe the photometric beam or not use the photometric beam to improve the sensitivity of this instrument. This iSense mode, CFOT mode, was already experienced in the MIDI instrument, but in Matisse, it has a particular interest because the Aquarius detector, the gain table of the detector, is not so stable, and this is why in Matisse the iSense mode is a mode routinely used in the instrument. There is also a beam shaper in Matisse, which allows to make non-redundant fringes and separate the 6 fringe peaks. This was used in amber, but in Matisse, what is new in the mid-infrared is we made the choice to well separate the fringe peaks in order to see the possible crosstalk contaminations, in particular from the background, from the central peak. We use OPD modulation, which was also used in MIDI and motivated by Walter Chaffee, to also separate the background contamination at best from the fringe peak. And we use also a beam commuting device, which was developed already in amber to improve the accuracy of the phase and closure phase measurement. So what you can see is that there is a lot of knowledge coming from the past, but it means also that the instrument is not so simple that one may believe if we don't care of this, and it's transparent, it's normal, because you can use the data reduction software, observe with Matisse, and analyze your data. But it means also that there is still room for improvement in this field. So the first we obtained with Matisse concerns the various discipline field of astrophysics. Well, there were talks at this conference. I'm not going to detail all the subject, but they were the wind of Eta Carina, interacting wind between the luminous blue variable star. The wind is represented in hot color, orange and red, and the less dense wind of the O star. Both stars have respectively 90 and 40 solar masses star, and with Matisse, we are on the program led by Gerd Weigel, following up this interaction between the binary. What was interesting is that in February 2020, the two stars were at their periastron. There are results also which were obtained by Andrea Chiafassa on the VXHR and certain nature star. It's an AGB star, a red supergiant star. What is very interesting with Matisse is that for most of cool evolved stars, there is a possibility to link the stellar activity with the dust formation and the dust wind, and better study the dust characteristic in their environment. This is pushed also by a recently revised article, which was sent to Astronomy and Astrophysics this week during the conference by Julien Drevon. Matisse allows to study the connection between the molecules, which are expected to be precursor of dust formation, or at least contribute to the dust nucleation and growth. And it's very unique in the mid-infrared because thanks to this connection between molecule and dust, Matisse makes a bridge between near-infrared observation and ALMA-type observation also. And we hope to learn a lot about the dust wind. As you know, the dust is mostly produced by evolved star and enriches interstellar medium, of course. One very advertised result is a Nature published result of NGC 1068, presented also at this conference by Violeta Gamez. We do learn a lot about the shape, and we could validate for the first time through imaging the torus model around in the Seyfert galaxy. Jacobus Bell also has pushed such a study on Circinus. Article in Astronomy and Astrophysics was accepted this week, 2 days ago, thanks to the images which were obtained in the
2 minutes left.
2 minutes. So maybe I go fast. So you see that we have many results also in the field of YSO. Time variability is wished to be followed, to be studied in these many objects, and disk geometry. And in Matisse, in addition, what we are currently doing is to study the mineralogy. Sometimes it exists, and near the star, sometimes as a surprise, we do not observe the signature we would have expected. It exists around Herbig, around Tetori star, but we look also for carbon signature, because most of past studies have focused their attention on the silicate, but the L band in particular allows to study some important carbonaceous signature, which are important prebiotic molecules. One of the spectacular results we are interpreting now is the presence of nanodiamonds, for example, in a few set, very few set of objects. So, what are the optimization and upgrade we are working on, and that will interest everyone? As you know, I repeat the fact that Matisse is a very unique instrument. In addition to its very unique characteristic, it's a very sensitive and accurate instrument. It's complying the specification we have drawn at the time of his proposition at ESO. So we are working in optimizing the observing procedure of the instrument. This is still subject to evolution because Matisse connected to the gravity French tracker called the GraphFormat interface is still under commissioning, so observing procedures are still slightly evolving. The data reduction software is still evolving, and we continue improving our calibration method, in particular through a better knowledge of broadband chromatic OPDs and telluric line effect. We are working also on astrometric at the tenth of milliarcsecond accuracy. This will be very useful to put in relation the Pioneer Gravity Matisse observation, in particular in the field of HGN, in which we want to superimpose the different image obtained with the various instruments of the VLTI. We work also in using the field of view of the VLTI, which is of the order of 2 arcseconds with UTs, and if I am not wrong, with the order of 8 arcseconds with ATs. This will be very useful for extended emission source and some non-exoplanet like Beta Pictoris b to allow their observation. And there are upgrades, important upgrades in the infrastructure, which are Graformat, still under commissioning. This project, wonderful project led by Julien Vollès, is very necessary, is a necessary subsystem for Matisse. Matisse-wide, which will allow to open a cosmology program, not only for Matisse, but for the VLTI and the world community, because the shape of HGNs, as demonstrated for NGC 1068 and Circinus, are very important to interpret them, but also to measure distance in our universe. It will be important for also observe the faint YSO. We are also ready to recommission Matisse after the replacement, in particular of the adaptive optic on UTs. And we are working, our team is working on a new generation French tracker, which is called the hierarchical French tracker, but I think Romain will say more about this. I think that's it for me. I do not detail the many sensitivity and the very rich information you can find on the ESO web pages. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you.
Does anyone has any question? Even online? No. I have one question. Do you know when Graformat will be ready?
Okay, Graformat is already available for the community. Most of the performance table that you find in the ESO web page and in our article are also representing the gain for Graformat that you can ask in your proposal. But the commissioning is still ongoing to improve the performance knowledge on UTs, also to improve our knowledge of French jump with Graformat, which allows to determine the longest DIT possible in L band in particular. And there will be, so Graformat, you can use it, there will be improvement, commissioning are ongoing. There will be a paper made by Julien Vollès in the near future, also to describe the ultimate performance that can be offered by Graformat.
Excellent. Thank you again.
Thanks to you.